Welcome y'all to Gator Tales with Chuck and Brad. Today we want to thank Coach David Oliver, the AD head football coach here at Santa Monica High School, and we want to thank him for taking the time out to give us a little time so we can get into you know, who you are and stuff, and also how the outlook on our season is going to be football wise and stuff. Um,
Yeah,
that's
so
your
again, thanks, Coach, for taking the time out on the busy schedule. Season really just kicking off. Um, First of all, let's just introduce yourself. Let's tell a little about your history. What how long you've been here at Santa Mall. What brought you here to Santa Mall?
All
Kind of.
right. Well, I grew up in, I call Colorado home.
Okay.
And, my dad was in the military, the United States Air Force, and was an Air Force Academy grad. And he ended up retiring there. So that's where I went to high school. Then I went to college at Northern Colorado. And then I wanted to try to pursue the college coaching game.
Okay.
And did that for, I guess 14 years or so at Northern Colorado, Southeast Missouri State, Tulane for 5 years, and then Southern for 5 years after that. So,
Okay.
and that's what brought me to Louisiana in 1997, which was our first season at Tulane. And then, after 10 years, 5 at Southern and 5 at Tulane, a guy used to come put a lot of time in the off season, visiting the local college coaches. And that guy was David Swacker.
Okay.
And so I had a
I
chance.
know him.
Yeah, me too. So I had a chance to meet him, and we talked a lot of football over the course of the years. From when I was at Tulane, he would come with Blake Kling, his offensive coordinator at the time, and they were always working to stay current. And a lot of similar type, offenses and schemes and stuff like this. And so when it was time to go at Southern, he was looking for a coach, and I had always knew I needed a backup plan, and thank God that I finished that education degree at Northern Colorado, and
Okay.
had that to fall back on because as it turns out, this is the longest tenured job I've ever been at.
Oh, really?
And which is why I enjoy. So I found this was a great community. I recruited the school,
Right.
and so I knew I'd been to the school, I'd been to the community, and with 2 young kids, I said, man, this would be a great place. So we talked, and I got January, I think it was 2007. I got hired as actually the line coach.
Okay.
And then I think what happened, if I remember the chain of events, is Blake Kling got the head football job at Plaquemine, which left a coordinator job open.
Right.
And he pushed me up to that spot. And then after a year, there was a changing of the guard, and I got that job as the head coach. And then I believe this is my 14th season, 15th overall, 14th as the head coach.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool deal.
And then also athletic director as well.
Yeah.
So that came part of the once you became head coach, correct? Was that at the same time, head coach, athletic director?
And that was that was a huge area. I mean, this whole the difference in high school and college coaching is just phenomenal, and people don't really understand that difference when they
Right.
talk about it. But the skill set that you have to be successful in a role as a high school athletic director and
Right.
coach, and what you have to do from a skill set to be successful as a college coach are entirely different. And for example, I didn't know anything about the AD job. The first time they said, "Hey, let's go paint these fields," I was absolutely stunned. Like, you don't got a guy for that?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you got to cut grass. I need cut grass.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got this class where you go to the weight room.
Right.
You coaches do that?
Right.
Yeah.
And and then people kind of laugh, but the first game that I was ever on the sideline ever was my first game at Santa Monica High School. I was
Really?
always a press box coach.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Oh, okay.
it was
Okay.
kind of like I was standing down there like, so this is what it happens
Right.
down here.
Right. Right.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I better look busy. So, and then the other big learning curve was, the other sports and figuring out how they fit into the overall athletic department and the success of the school and its vision, and hiring coaches and
Right.
making sure that they're funded properly, and the school board is really about opportunities, and so we are totally maxed out. If LHSA offers it, we offer it.
Correct.
We
Yes.
got boys and girls golf, boys and girls gymnastics,
Right.
boys and girls bowling. We added powerlifting. So we've added a bunch of this growth since I've been there. And then, we always count our student aids as a sport, although it's technically not. But, Coach Arsenault and his sports medicine people do such a tremendous job. So, that brings us to 28, sports with about 1,300 student athletes. And it takes a lot to grow and manage that and, finance it and those things. And so there was a huge learning curve on that end for, and, I would like to say that, some guys that really helped me out in that role. So, with Doug Morrow and David Swacker and myself, I think that's probably 35 years and
at least
275 wins of Santa Ma football. And Doug was a part of my first staff for the first 3 years and was a huge mentor. And, Coach Swacker and I were friends, and he was always willing to help me out. And just the kind of guy he was is, I called him and told him, boy, I got mixed emotions about taking this job. You had it, how do you feel about it? And he gave me his blessing, and, he cleaned out the office that we're in right now. And let me see if I can find it. So one day it was kind of weird. It's a David Swacker story, but it's kind of special to me. And I'll tell you why, because what kind of guy he is and how he's helped me is, I had a nail that got ripped, and I said, man, who's got some fingernail clippers in this place? And, seems like a weird thing to have in the coach's office.
Right.
And he said, I got a pair. Come on. So he brings me in here, and of course, this isn't the exact desk because of the flood. But he says, man, try these out. And I just made a casual, man, these are the absolute best clippers that I've ever had. He's like, so feel free to use them anytime. So, I went during the school that year, I would come clip them up. And so after all that went down, and, he was no longer the coach, and I got his blessing to go for it, and I got the job. One weekend he came and cleaned his personal effects out so I could move my stuff in the next week. And I came in, and there was an envelope on that desk with a note in it with those clippers that said, hope you win all the nail biters.
There you go.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
That's
so I have
cool.
to keep those to those days. It's the little things that you make a difference. And so those guys have done a tremendous job of, still to this day. And, people don't realize what kind of friends you are with Darnell Lee and Guy Mastretta and Benny Saya and Paul Bourgeois.
Because y'all on the same boat.
It's unless you've been in this chair, not like but it's just unless you've had the experience. And do I throw this kid off the team, or what's the appropriate discipline, and how do I handle this parent in another sport that's has an issue? How do I handle a coach that is behaving a certain way? And those guys have a tremendous amount of wisdom, and all have helped us, help me grow in this profession.
And that's good to have is some backup to support you and someone to call on and say, hey, look, I got this situation.
How would you handle it?
Yeah, or they may have been in the same situation a couple of years prior and say, hey, look, we kind of handled it this way. Not saying that's what you have to do, but this is kind of what we looked at. And again, you have to wear many hats. It's not just, hey, it's football. It's that's all we're doing here. Again, like I said, you're part of every sport that's here on campus, in one way or another. Like I said,
and what's tough too is times are changing. As far as the way the society is. So the way that we were brought up, playing football, you can't go that route no more.
And it's different. The game's changing.
You got to change with it.
And our coaches do it in all sports and do a tremendous job of staying current and clinicking and visiting places, and our booster club and principal have allowed us that time and finances to do that stuff. And then the other thing that really sticks out to me is that has helped me in this role, and I think is I don't know if it's necessarily changed but evolved my decision making, is seeing all our programs through the eyes of a parent, because both my sons were multi-sport athletes here at Santa Ma High School, and they had highs and lows in all those sports like any other kid. But now through the lens of not only the AD and the head football coach, but now as a parent,
but as a dad, you better sit back.
Expectations to how people should be treated and how the communication should be. That's really helped me a lot.
That's good.
And it helps you improve the program in general too, because you had kids coming up, and you want them to succeed as best as they can, and give them all the tools that make them better as an athlete, as a person later on in life. And then when the position you're in, you can be able to make those hires, because we have some of the best coaches in the state,
hands down,
throughout all sports. and that comes from a lot of the hires that you've made over the last few years as well. And it makes your job easier knowing that, hey, I got that right person in place.
In place, yep.
They can handle a lot of the major stuff. They have to come to me with something. We'll work on it. But having the right people in the right positions definitely helps out.
Oh, it's key, and I think that I like to share the success with everybody. I'll take the blame, but I like to share
Yeah.
the success with everybody. And we got a bunch of superb coaches that really are super people and do a great job around those young people. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, that the reason I enjoy it here is my wife works at the school, and we live about 2 minutes across the street from my office, and it's just a great place to live, and it's because of the people.
Yeah.
The buildings got bricks and grass is green everywhere, but that's what makes this community special, is the people that are involved. I've had a chance to work for several great principals, and the leadership that Beth Tomplay and Mia Edwards provided, was, unbelievable. The things that they've done for the school board and so, that makes, those people, James LeBlanc and the Booster Club, and the things they've continued to do, the Santa Maria Volunteer Fire Department, they all really chip in to make this place special.
Right.
So
Well, good. I mean, we're gonna brag because it affected both of us, but probably the best two of the most recent hires have been both in the softball and the baseball sports, and that has shown significant
on the field
advancements on the field. Whereas the softball's now 2-time state champions.
Would have been 3.
Should have been 3.
Yeah.
COVID
totally
cut short.
agree, yeah.
Definitely.
COVID.
Yeah.
21-0, number 1 team.
Yeah.
That might have been their best team. And
We're just going to go ahead and give them the ring for that year anyway. We're going to call it now.
I would have loved to have seen baseball finish that season.
And then baseball,
yes. Just the right time.
Yes,
they were peaking.
Yeah. That was the perfect storm again for them. So again, the advancements in the sports throughout.
I throw out Bianca Harvey back to back.
Yes.
I was sitting in the gym, about halfway through her first year, and we were playing McKinley, and I was like, man, we look like McKinley used to look.
Yeah.
Our style of play completely changed from, a zone type team and a slow push it up the court to a fast pace attack and trap, and it was just like, oh man, we doing to McKinley what they would do to us.
Yes.
But yeah, Coach Petrie is tremendous. Coach Bravada, and they both have been able to. We've been able to put good staff, and that's challenging to do. And that's what I was talking to Miss Tomplay earlier, and a lot of people don't realize that because we're in the process of trying to get all our coaches CPR certified.
Correct.
And so, that's just a huge undertaking because we got like 54 coaches. So you'd think, oh man, most of these coaches are probably, faculty members, but we actually have as many non-faculty coaches as we do have faculty coaches. And, baseball and softball are really, and, to get good quality people that are invested in kids is pretty challenging because, most people that get into teaching, they don't get in it to get rich, but they get in it because they want to make impacts on the life. It's kind of a service job. And, I love mentoring these kids and seeing them grow. And so you really understand that piece of it, where sometimes you can get these non-faculty coaches that they don't have that. They just, I love X sport, and I'm here to coach that period. So they don't have that kind of relationship. But the ones we got, Jay Brignac and Mark Mayer and Daryl Landry and Skylar Enlow and Ryan Ricka, and I'm sure I left a few out there. But I mean,
you got a bunch of them,
that are non-faculty guys that come. We got some in freshman football too. John Duplessis, who volunteers. I mean, not only does he come coach and build that relationship with the kids, I believe he was the first football player to ever get a Division I scholarship out of Santa Maria High School, and he comes and takes time off from his work.
And he won a national championship at
NLU Northeast. Caleb Jones does the same thing. So we got people in the community, former letter winners that are really tremendous in addition to our faculty coaches. So I wanted to make sure that we point that out.
Definitely.
People think we're all teachers, and that's really not the case.
No, because like I said, most of your staff on a lot of these smaller sports are volunteer coaches. Because again, you can only have 1 or 2 paid coaches, or
Coach Whitney in cross country is retired military. Clint Brownell works for He's a building inspector in Baton Rouge. So we got head coaches that are, non-faculty
that's
people.
true.
And we met the swimming coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had to. Forgive me, I forget his name, but she had him with him. Like he helps her.
Yeah.
Andrew Wilkinson.
Yes.
Wilkinson. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and it's good to see that the school is embracing all the sports equally. As well. Like I said, budgetary wise, every sport got to have uniforms. Every sport got to have equipment. So to divvy all of that up too, and make sure everybody's taken care of throughout the year, and everything else is another thing you got to worry about.
Right, and that's why I was at the. I don't know if it was at the Booster Club or Meet the Gators. Might have been at both, because I was real proud of it as far as, from an AD standpoint and a staff standpoint is, I think this last year there was only 6 schools, and I think that 7 of the last 8 years we've qualified for this. But this year there was only 6 schools, so I think there's 314 schools, high schools in the state of Louisiana. For some reason that's pretty close.
Okay.
But I think that's the number. And of all those, there's only 6 that this past year, and we were one of them, that if it is a team sport, qualified for the playoffs, and we did that. So volleyball was in the playoffs, football was in the playoffs, boys and girls soccer were in the playoffs, boys and girls basketball were in the playoffs, softball was in the playoffs, baseball was in the playoffs. Obviously, we talked about those 2 sports.
Yeah.
But then there's the other individual sports, and we had
some tennis.
Individuals. We had tennis went to the semifinals. Yeah. We had a bowler that went to the deep, might have bowled in the finals.
Okay.
Yeah, she went far. Yeah.
We had some gymnasts that qualified
cross country with the bourgeois.
Wrestling. We had wrestlers in the state tournament.
Right.
So, it tells you there's a lot of success going on. And then the Advocate released their Star of Stars, and we had 3 of those represented us: Candace Cagnalotti and bowling, and
we also had our special
AJ.
And we had our Special Olympian too,
Luke. Olympian Luke.
Yeah.
And then, so we those things really, I think that speaks to the
right.
quality of the program in general. You know what I mean?
I agree.
You come here and you look at the training room, and I think I think it's college quality. I took my son on a couple of these visits to Delta State.
Right. I heard the same. I heard the same thing about like even Louisiana Tech, big D1, and they said our training room was way better than theirs.
Our weight room is as good as anyone's, and we've constantly upgraded the facilities with the turf that the school board really helped us. I mean, I'm coming back from practice there on a day that we wouldn't have been able to practice outside because our fields are too wet.
Correct.
Right.
But we were able to get it in. And so just those kind of things over the course of 15 years, the growth that you see, I'm pretty proud of our staff, our community, what we've been able to do. And, we just want to keep pushing and make sure that we see that our kids leave with the very best experience they could possibly have.
Right.
That's good. Well,
now the big one.
Yeah, shift a little gears. Football season. It's here on us.
It's coming up Friday.
Week 1, ready to go. Open it up
at
the pit.
Done had our jamboree and scrimmage and everything too. And
so let's talk a little bit about that, the upcoming season, kind of schedule wise. We'll talk a little bit about this week's game coming up against the opponent and kind of what to expect against them, and what we're coming into. A lot of new faces for the Gators this year.
There really is. This is and look, that's what I'm excited about. A lot of the kids on this team, especially the younger ones. I just didn't think they would have to be ready as sophomores. Right. We got a bunch of guys that are going to be real good football players. So I think this is going to be a real fun team to coach, because I think it's a team that's going to continually improve each week.
Yeah.
And, and I don't see them plateauing. We got, a bunch of guys that hadn't played a lot of varsity football. And then, we're starting to see some of that effects of, the COVID. I was, obviously, Chuck's son Colby is our quarterback right now. And I was telling my parents, I say, how's he doing? I say, he's doing pretty dang good picking this thing up, because they watch it on the Duck Roost in Colorado.
Yeah. And, you're welcome.
Had to get that plug in. And so I said, you know what, he went through the COVID year, and, if we played 3, I don't think we did. I think we played 2 JV games. I think
it was just 2.
Yeah. And we were rotating a couple guys to see what they could do. And so you're probably talking about less than a game, or probably
pretty
half
much a whole game total.
Game.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, he
of
got
actual
injured
live
his
action.
junior year, and now he's, coming back. And so, he's got the ability that we're looking for. He just needs reps, and it's hard to create those reps.
Correct.
Right. You know, there's a bunch of, you know, like Bryson Humphrey is a inside linebacker who's, you know, played a bunch of JV, but he's going to have to play a bunch of Friday night football. And Damon Smith is like that. So I think it's going to be that kind of, you know, and then the biggest thing, and before I get back to football, is probably the change in our league and the differences that's going to make. You know, and I was a big proponent of that, and you know, that's what everyone will say, man. Oh, well, you guys are running from Catholic High or whatever, and so they can say all they want about that, but I just think this league is going to be just really competitive and good for us.
So because, and definitely,
you know, first thing is, you know, when you look at it for the entirety of the athletic department, you know, we can go to those games. I'm talking about any game, varsity, JV, freshman, and we never have to go through Baton Rouge. So
correct.
We don't have to get on the interstate. We don't have to fight that interstate traffic, and you don't
jump on 16 and roll out.
The time that you miss from an educational standpoint during the school day is pretty immense. And some of those places in Baton Rouge where they don't have lights, the baseball team and softball team,
got to go early. Yeah, got to have a 4 o'clock start time.
You know, in some of the schools in our old district, and they didn't have fully fledged athletic department.
Right.
You know, they didn't have. You played them in softball, and they didn't have a JV and a freshman team.
Correct.
You played them in baseball, all they had was varsity. Or they had to forfeit at the last minute. You couldn't.
And not just that. And in some of the varsities, it really wasn't competition. I mean, not by fault of them, but it just like it did our kids no justice having to go play it.
Right. You got the traffic situation where, you know, we're taking them back roads that we're familiar with, and then, you know, now you'd look at the facilities that are in our league. They all have artificial turf football fields. Right. They all have artificial turf baseball fields. They all have artificial, and they're softball fields.
And they all got lights.
They all got lights. They got great gyms.
Right.
The security is up to par. That, you know, and you got a situation where they all have fully fledged. You know, they got all going to have freshman teams.
Correct.
We're going to have a chance to develop those kids in all sports, and you know, and those teams travel well. You know, those are the kind of
that's a good gate for both sides.
And you know, however people want to say what it is, you know, us, EA, and Dutchtown, and the 3 Livingston, we're in the same boat as far as, you know, somebody else tells us what kids we can have. This is your chunk.
Correct.
This is your chunk. And they're fixing to have to come back with a new high school and do it again. These are the kids that can go to your place. These are your guys. And for whatever reason, they don't have that in Baton Rouge. In our old district, you know, Woodlawn's a magnet school.
They all magnet. Everybody's magnet. Right.
Any kid in Baton Rouge they want.
Right.
Catholic's a private school, the same reason. Liberty is a magnet. And then you got Central and Zachary, which are private
independent school districts
that I can go get kids from anywhere. And then you had McKinley, which was the same boat. So it makes sense to put those together.
Right.
Because they're, you know, they have the ability to get the same product.
It also makes a lot more sense too, because like we were saying is we know a lot of them people from Livingston Parish.
Yeah.
You either work with them or you grew up with them, or
the kids are playing, or they play that Slifer League, you know, football as kids, you know, they play each other.
So it becomes a lot more personal when you play, and it was fun because you know kids on the other team, you know the parents on the other sideline, you know, it's fun, you know, it becomes we're gonna kick y'all butt this week, you know, kind of rowdy, kind of like between Salmon, East Ascension, Salmon, Dutchtown. You know the parents, you know the kids. A lot of the same thing with the Livingston Parish, whereas with the Baton Rouge schools, you didn't have that.
You didn't know.
Yeah, and it probably won't be as, you know, people will say on paper it's probably not as challenging of a league in football, but you know, I think it's going to be sneaky good. But I know it's a better league, I think, in boys and girls basketball, and I think baseball and softball those are going to be some of the premier districts in the state for both those sports, because those are all very good teams. And so that's only going to make our programs, which are already top flight, better.
Correct. Right. And we kind of talked about that when we interviewed all the other the coaches the other day about and one of the questions we had was, I know at one point certain sports had different districts.
Exactly.
Did that change?
Yes.
So we're all in the same, basically. If you have a district schedule, you're in the same
because
district.
They pretty much offer the same sports that we all offer.
Okay. Okay.
And that was the other big point is now you have some rivalries.
Correct.
That are sport to sport wise.
Yes.
Right. You know, for like in the last year, the volleyball was actually with the Livingston Parish team.
Correct. So it really didn't change for them a whole lot.
But soccer, the girls soccer was with Livingston Parish, and the boys soccer was down
to Bayou or something.
In the Bayou with Terrebonne and South Lafourche. I mean, there's no rivalry there.
Right. Exactly.
So that makes a whole bunch more sense.
And it also helps on the travel time too. like you was speaking
Oh,
earlier,
yeah,
like for the
absolutely.
soccer. I mean, if you got to go down and play South Lafourche, I mean, over there, I mean, that's almost a 2.5, 3 hour drive.
You know, and
easily.
you know, a lot of these, games that, basketball, for example, when they go play basketball, they play 3 games. They play freshman, JV, varsity.
Right.
And, if the drive home makes a difference in the lives of those
Right.
students.
Right.
If you can play those games and be home, and by 10, you got some
Right.
time for homework
Versus
and to
being
get
home at
rested.
1.
Yeah.
So, and that makes a huge difference from a,
Okay, so that did answer the question, because we had that question the other night. We couldn't quite come up with the right answer, but I'm glad to hear that they finally said, okay, look, this is across the board, which makes a lot more sense. But again, it makes sense because these other schools have the sports that are
same as us.
that we can compete with.
Yeah.
Right.
So
going back to football, we got Carver we got Carver Friday.
Yep.
And they like Cole, so it must have been 3 years ago. Cole Poirier's in 2019 was we lost to them in the first game of the year. I think it was 34-27. It was a pretty close game, and that was they were loaded.
I think they had a couple of D1 players that year.
They got a kid that's starting at Ole Miss. They had the Elfish kid. They had the receiver.
They were tall.
Yeah. And so they got into us a little. We had a few injuries. Reese Nelson broke his leg.
Yeah.
And, we lost Bourgeois, and we had to play the guy youth that didn't know a lot of checks. So I mean, we can make excuses all we want, but they got us. But they had incredible size on that team, and this team is not that kind of team. They're decent, but we got to play a lot better than we did. So we played Shaw. Shaw's very good, and I think that over the course of the season, that's going to play itself out to where people say, "Man, I tell you what, Shaw's back." You know what I mean? They are very good, and I thought we battled them and played hard, and then the first half against Assumption was okay, and then I think we got complacent. We started Gators beating the Gators. There was silly penalties, drop passes. We're behind the chains, and we got to get better each week, and that's what we keep selling our kids on is we got to make that daily improvement. Our big thing that we've adopted is it's not who we play, it's how we play. So we almost never really talk. We do a brief scouting report on Mondays, but we don't spend a lot of time talking about who we play. It's what we control is how we play.
Correct.
We can play with tempo. We can play with toughness. We can play with attitude. We can play with some intensity. And, as long as we don't beat ourselves, I just am convinced that more high school football games are lost than are won because, you saw it in that second half of that. As we were struggling too, but so was Assumption. They couldn't high snaps, false starts, and so they wasn't fixing to take that from us, although we were trying to give it to them.
Right.
So they ended up losing that more than we wanted,
Right.
But going back to the players, I thought Tyler Ricardo and Braxton Trabo, I think, are going to do a pretty decent job replacing Cole Poirier as our primary kicker, and obviously we had Bo Bersaget that chipped in a bunch, but when that guy did so much for us over the last 3 years, people overlooked that kicking game. So, but we have been blessed for my entire career here with very high quality kicking talent.
This is probably one of the couple of first years we don't have a exchange student kicking.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. And,
we had a pretty good run there.
We were real good. Of course, we could go through Briggs, which was he's got school records that'll never be broken.
Yeah.
He did. He would kick off and then he would score a touchdown and kick the extra point and kick off again. Man, this is he scored all those points. But so I'm pleased with where we're at right there with those guys. And on the offensive side of the ball, I think I like where we're at from an offensive line standpoint. Mason Vaughn plays right tackle, and Trinity Williams plays right guard. They both started last year and played a lot of football, so we feel like we can lean on them. Cooper Cheatwood has really played well coming in at center, and then you got two left guards basically. You got Leighton Squibb, which is a senior. He's really starting to come on, and then Seth Guidry. Seth's a lot bigger kid, so we try to play him against the bigger defenders that we see. And
hold that thought for just a second, Coach. All right, Seth, you said.
And Seth Guidry and Leighton Squibb are playing at left guard, and then left tackle is probably the most improved kid on our team since his freshman year. This Nathan Williams, and he's a guy he's one of them Gator players that the program's all about. Comes in and just he was almost a little awkward talking to you, and Now he's out there hugging and kissing babies. Earned a starting role and is respected by his teammates. So
that's good.
He's really come a long way. So
that's an important spot right there.
We feel good with him, and we got some decent depth behind him, and so that's going to be okay. And then we got Colby and Chase Kelly at quarterback right now, and we're hoping that Jacob Saunier can come back. He had a medical procedure. And looks like he's going to be out another 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
We'll see what he can do when he gets back. But, then at running back, I like Josh Maurice, obviously. And then I tell you, the kid who's really starting to come on is this Kyron Kraft.
We saw him the other night. He looked good.
He's showing it in JV, and then we put him in some in the
Got a
varsity.
little speed.
He did that. And so he's going to be a factor. And Tyree Williams does a good job for us, too. And then, when you're looking at wideout, we're kind of working through a bunch of youth.
Yeah, I seen that the other night. You kind of rotated a lot of guys in.
Yeah, and so Logan McNabb's a guy we think we can count on, and then Easton Gyro is a slot guy that's a lot like Noah Luke or Boots, DeAndre Taylor, and he has that kind of skill set. And then Cole Sims looks to be the next receiver, and after that you're talking about Kernan and Kluwa.
Then you had some that had some injuries too.
A bunch of these sophomore guys, and so but we feel like we'll be pretty good in the kicking game, and the offensive line's going to have to allow us to grow that time and precision in our passing game. Because it's not just a quarterback that needs that experience. It's we need that experience as a unit together, and we need to start settling on some guys. Maddox Melançon's a receiver who's coming back from an injury, and he's playing better every day. He had his ACL last year, and that process is starting to accelerate, and then. Obviously the defensive line, I think, is probably going to be the strength of our team with the, we got Dylan Carpenter and Peyton Anderson at the ends, which are two 240-pound kids.
Yeah.
And then inside we have Thunder and Lightning, Ty Marion Fountain.
I saw that the other night.
The thick kid. And then we got the, I say smaller, but he's probably 240. The faster kid. Maybe I say fast. It's not quite so fast. But
quick feet.
Yeah, they bring a little something different at the nose spot. And then, the outside linebackers, seems right now Jesse Daniel, who we moved from receiver, man and one, and then Braxton Trabo, who I'm very pleased with, who I think is going to really be an outstanding football player for us on the edge. He's got great speed,
and I think a lot of them guys opposite side of Dylan is going to see a lot of playing time on their side because them guys, a lot of teams aren't going to run towards Dylan's side. I think.
I would. Think that's absolutely true. And then inside linebacker, we got Damon Smith, and we got Bryson Humphrey, Bennett Tomplay, Davin Cook, and a few others in there
that you can mix in.
Those are the kind of guys. And then I like the secondary, how they fit.
The
two Paul brothers, they're twins. They man the corner spot, and then Shane Landry started, and they played a lot last year. The Paul twins as our slot guys and our third down package, our nickel and dime guys. And then the free safety is Humphreys is one, and then Lane Swanson, he's a ball hawk, and those. So I think I see the early season playing out as us kind of win. Hopefully we win the coin toss and can play defense first. Get a short field. Hopefully run it in. You know what I mean? And then kind of ease into.
Kind of get everybody's feet wet. Again, you got that
perfect world, but
a lot of young kids. And look. There's nothing like under the lights on Friday night. That's a whole different. You can play as much freshman football as you want. You can play as much JVS football as you want. You get on that field Friday night. It's a different experience.
That's what Kobe said. He's like I was just I didn't know what to do like this. I couldn't stop being nervous.
Yeah.
I said, well, good.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be nervous before a game.
It is different. Like I said, I mean, especially when you're a younger starter, sophomore, or junior.
Yeah.
And you're lining up 3-year senior. 3-year starter as a senior on the other side that's got that experience, and it's a learning curve.
Yeah. And so all 5 of our non-district games are home, which is unusual. But it was, I don't know if it was totally planned, but I was thinking, what do we have that other people don't have? I've been on this train for a few years as well. You know what? We got a community that entirely supports us.
Yes.
So, let's flex those muscles a little bit and get a couple teams to come to us twice.
Right.
And then we'll get a couple extra home games over the 5 that normally 5 home, 5 away.
Right.
And so, we started, negotiating with some teams and found some teams that, there's teams that it's cheaper for them to come they, if we pay them a payout to come,
Right.
Correct.
that they keep all the money.
Yeah.
And whereas they got to rent, they don't have a home stadium, so
Correct.
they got to
rent
it.
somewhere.
Right.
So we
Yes.
find some schools
and
that
pay the referees.
that
all
don't
that.
have it as good of us. And so this year, with the turf, we had, everyone called us wanting to play.
And that's a good problem.
They know the surface is going to be good. They
That's
know
right.
the environment's going to be tremendous. They know that the competition is going to get them ready for the state playoffs.
And a good gate.
And
they're going to make money.
Even Sean Assumption, we were prepared to travel to both those, and they were like, "Wait, you got turf? No, we
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah, because you know what? Those coaches, see, goes back to when I was first year in SWAC, was like, let's go paint these fields. And I was like,
they don't want to paint the field.
They don't want to paint the field.
Yeah.
So if I don't have to paint them for a
right.
scrimmage or jamboree,
That's right.
I don't. I'll wait another couple of weeks before I get out this paint machine. So I think there's something to that.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Definitely.
So Clark Lambert's going to go down as the all-time record holder for the
most
fields painted at Santa Monica High School.
There you go.
That's it.
That
he's
record
done.
will never be broken.
No,
you know what I mean?
no. Yeah, between that and the softball, I don't know what he's gonna do with his. He still goes out there and walks them though, but there's no more painting the lines anymore.
I think his new hobby is locking me in on the weekend. I'm gonna have to catch him doing it because it's like we got a new security guy around here, like you guys know, and it's like Fort Knox. So to get to my office, I got to go through like 3 gates now.
Right.
So when I come on Sunday, I just leave them open because I'm be here for an hour and a half or so, and I'll go back out. And I'll lock them when I leave, and I come back, and they're all locked. So I've caught Clark a few times. I said, I'm going to get this guy.
Clark, what you doing? The gate's supposed to be locked?
Gate's supposed to be locked.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The fall, just a quick, we're having our first cross-country meet at Santa Monica ever on September 24th.
Yes, we talked to her the other day as well.
Coach Whitney.
Which will be a neat thing to have. And that'll be nice if we could kind of build on that so we don't always have to drive to Baton Rouge.
Right.
Yeah.
The swim team is in action. New coach, Jessica Kling, which used to be, she used to be an assistant for us. They probably know her as Jessica Katz-Marzik.
Okay.
Who was a swimmer in college, and she was a student at the time when we hired her. She graduated, then we tried to hire her. We didn't have a spot. She went to Woodlawn for a year, and as soon as we got a spot,
we interviewed her the other day as well.
So that we're excited about that team, and then obviously volleyball started off the season yesterday with the sweep at Terrebonne.
That's another good hire that you had.
That's right.
Coach Ewan, and so I haven't had a chance to see him much because we practice at the same time, but the energy around that program and the girls is pretty strong right now. So they think they're going to be pretty good. I feel like.
She told us she had 9 returning starters.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically,
they got that kind of
and you only have 6 on the court at one time.
Right.
To bring 9 back that's huge.
Yep.
They've
been playing away. I've been watching on the Santa Monica Huddle Facebook thing. I'm like, I wonder what volleyball's playing tonight.
Yeah.
And I look like, they at South Terrebonne or
yeah,
wherever.
Because
I was wanting to go catch them.
Well, I got to tell you guys why I have a chance to thank you for what you guys do for our programs, and I hope that you know how much it's appreciated. I can't tell you how many times I tell you about my parents watching it, and they get a chance, but I can't tell you how many other times I'll see somebody at a grocery store or something, and they'll tell me, "Oh man, I said, great game. Well, you enjoyed it, but I didn't have a chance to get there, but I saw it on the TV. I saw a lady at the Murray's Saturday told me that. I said, well, that's good. So. That's a huge deal. And, the more people that have access, and they just have done a tremendous job with the community, getting them involved with the advertising. And, like I, have often said that, it's the supplemental income that helps our program the most. And, if you're buying a ticket, if you're buying an extravaganza ticket, if you're buying a parking ticket, if you're paying to advertise, if you're watching a game and donate a few dollars, all those things go directly back into the, 27 sports and the training room. And, all that stuff really helps us efficiently run and create an excellent experience for the kids that are in our program, and hopefully their parents too. But, we've just the amount of quality equipment and the uniforms and the, the things that, this and all that money goes directly into the kids. It's not like we're, buying coaching gear with it.
That was our only thing that we told Coach.
That's right.
That was our first thing. Just
it goes to the kids.
Make sure it goes to the kids.
Going back, and, it's broken up pretty fair. Per program, and so I really appreciate you guys taking the time. And breaking new guys in. I saw, I saw Billy Billingsley at the
yeah, he was getting ready to
before the
do
rain came down heavy last night.
Boy,
That might have been
lightning.
as rough as I've seen it at the gym.
Yeah,
It was
yeah, it was
popping.
bad
Yeah, I was
yesterday.
and they're like, "You think we could just back it up a half hour?" I said, "Go home.
Nah, go to
Yeah.
the
It's
house.
time to get out of here."
And we rely a lot on a lot of the parents,
Yeah.
just like we started out.
Yeah.
And Chuck started this. What we decided that was 6 years ago
I started in 2017 at St. James.
at St.
That's
James.
what it came up
At
today.
St.
and,
Yeah.
James.
Holding the iPhone up
Yeah.
so
My
somebody
arms were killing me.
could watch from work.
That's what Colby
and-
told me that came up today or yesterday. And,
Yeah.
Colby's my first block office worker.
Oh.
He does a little bit of office work, and lately he's been doing a little bit of that punting work.
Hopefully a lot of punting work.
So, I'm not. I mean, I've never seen one go out of the stadium before. So,
Coach, we laughed because we was watching it at the house. We went back and replayed, and everyone on the sideline for something, every one of the kids standing, they all did that.
It's like watching a home run ball.
And at first I saw where it went out. It went out at the 30.
Oh, it went
because I saw the hand rail.
Yeah.
And then that dude goes spots it at
and
the
he
10 or
spots it
something.
at like
15.
15. I was like, we got out pretty good on that.
Yes.
And then they were so confused they couldn't put it at the right spot, so they just put it back to the
Where it
regular
was,
line
yeah.
of scrimmage. And
Yeah.
so we've had him been getting the kicking net out. So we send him out there, and he's ripping off a few. So,
well, good.
So that's hopefully we'll get a little better net on that.
Yeah,
that's what,
so.
That's what a practice game's for.
And that's right. That's right. But yeah, back to like I said, when Chuck started this, and then I kind of came on a year or two later, and it was mainly to bring the sports to people who couldn't make it. Grandma and grandpa, or
Like the main one, Mr. Richard Wagasback. Mandy sends me a picture, and Mr. Richard, poor thing, he couldn't see good, and he was right at the TV, like watching his Gators.
long term supporter of
Right.
the Gators.
And
So
once I saw that, I said, "Oh, I'm all in."
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So,
but it went back to grandma and grandpa sitting at home, can't make it to the game, or again, like your parents that live out of state. We had a lot of alumni that moved out, and
Right.
they got nieces or nephews or anything still playing.
We got parents that work out of state.
Yeah.
Some of them might work in New Jersey or something. And for their job, whether they welders or whatever. And they tune in. And I mean, the furthest one knows so far is Sally Nettles. That's Bess Malonzo's sister, Okinawa.
Oh,
Yes.
She tuned in last year for the EA Santa Mo game from Okinawa.
Yep.
yeah.
So I think she owns the record right now.
We had some Gator royalty to me get married this last football season. I think Caleb Rowe and Bo Brown, which are former football player and a softball player, and Kayla's mom works in the library up here. And Tim always donates a meal with Bro Company, and so they ended up getting married on a Friday night during Gator football. So I'm guessing there was more than a few people.
Oh yeah, sitting there,
watching the game.
Yeah, I was catching a little glimpse on that. So.
And the positive to us being able to do this is at the end of the year being able to do the donation and present the check to Santa Mo High Athletics.
It just shows you the community that we are living in. That people want to give. A lot of times they didn't know how. To help.
Yeah.
And this does help them if they want to give, like just send it and then we'll transfer it over to y'all,
because we that number has grown every year so
we
far.
went from 3,500 because I started collecting on I think the third year is when I started collecting.
Yeah.
And because I had one commercial, David Brown Diversion Dental. I'd hold the business card in front of the camera, and
come a long way.
Yeah, so it went from 3,500, 7,500, and 12,000, and last year right at 15,000, and then and so
awesome.
Hoping to top that again this year.
Hoping so. We're looking to break it every year.
But that goes back again to community.
Yep.
Because that's it. All those monies comes from the community.
It's the strength of our program in school. It really is. It's special.
And a lot of it is with the advertising that we provide as well for them, so they get some advertising out of it. But most of it comes from just donations throughout our
$5
broadcasting.
here, $20
you
here.
know.
Some people
Yeah.
send 100, and
It's
50 or whatever.
and a lot of
like
them
we tell
feel,
everybody, it all adds up.
yeah, a
It
lot of
all
them
adds
feel
up.
like, hey, look, I couldn't make it to the game. I can at least pay the gate fee of what I was going to be there anyway. So they'll send that in or something like that. So, and we got our regulars.
Yeah, like sometimes we're like, something's wrong. What?
Yeah.
Mr. Donnie didn't send
Mr.
nothing
Donnie
in.
hadn't sent any money yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then ding, Mr. Donnie. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, he's
So, and me and Chuck, most people know we love to talk.
yeah.
So this works perfect for us. And we're fully invested in it. And again, it's for the kids. Like I said, he's got one that's a senior now. I had one that graduated a couple of years ago. So we see the effects that it brings.
I kind of like it too, though, because like the kids be able to go back and watch their games.
Yeah.
Like I wish I could go back and show my kids my games, but they got those VHSs went with the flood,
Yeah.
and but to be able to put it out there and have it out there for them to where later on in life they can bring up, look, this was daddy, or this is mama. Look at mama hit this home run,
Oh, yeah.
It's something that is good to be able to go back and show them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, Coach.
Yeah.
We appreciate the time.
Anytime. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
We really do appreciate you taking the time out to let everybody know a little bit about Coach David Oliver.
Yeah.
Head football coach, athletic director, Santa Monica High School.
And what to expect this year.
Yep.
So
thank you, Coach. Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Thank you.
And that's going to be it. We're out. Go Gators.